week 13 of the fantasy football season. A few tight ends I have his sleepers this week. First tight end, Tyler Conklin of the New York Jets. I know the targets haven't been there. I know he's the third or fourth option in this offense is Tyler Conklin. And when you got wide receivers like Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams on your team, it's going to be tough for you to get consistent targets and even a lot of route participation as well. So the last few weeks, non-existent numbers. But after coming off a bye week, I think this Jet team is going to try to shake things up a little bit. And this week, it's a middle-of-the-pack matchup versus Seattle Seahawks. They give up the 13th most fantasy points to tight ends on the season. And Tyler Conklin, when he's getting targets and opportunity, we've seen some good games out of him over the last few seasons. And even early in the season, in the first 7 games of the season, he had 3 games with double-digit fantasy points. So this week, if you need a deep sleeper, and if this Jet team, like I said, coming off a bye, wants to shake things up a little bit, Conklin might get more targets and more route participation, and he's out there in 88% of fantasy leagues. Next tight end, likely of the Baltimore Ravens. I know likely he hasn't done much over the last few weeks, and he wasn't even targeted in last week's ball game, but there's some games he pops up and makes plays, and this week in a potential high-scoring game versus the Philadelphia Eagles, I think likely he could take by surprise this week and put up a decent fantasy game. So right now, he's out there in tons of fantasy leagues. Is Isaiah Likely 72%. After week 1, we know he had that big ball game at the Kansas City Chiefs, and then the numbers went down. So he's been inconsistent, no doubt about it. All season long, he is Isaiah Likely. But if you need a tight end with some upside this week, if you got a lot of injuries, or if you're in just deeper leagues, or even playing some of these guys at the flex, I think Isaiah Likely could be a decent sleeper option. Surprising ball game, and he's available in 72% of fantasy leagues. And the third and final tight end I have as a sleeper is Austin Hooper of the New England Patriots. So Austin Hooper, he's been surprisingly putting up numbers over the last few weeks, especially the last 3 weeks. He's been more into the offense. We know Hunter Henry's the number 1 tight end and Demario Douglas the number 1 wide receiver. But besides that, that number 3 target in this offense in the passing game is pretty much wide open. In the last few weeks for Hooper, Week 10 at the Bears, 3 catches, 64 yards. Week 11 versus the Rams, 4 catches, 35 yards. And Week 12 at the Dolphins, a big game, 4 catches, 59 yards, and a touchdown. So we know a young quarterback and rookie quarterbacks, usually their best friend and security blanket is the tight end position. And now running a lot of 2 tight end sets. And ever since Drake May's gotten into the lineup, Austin Hooper, his route participation's gone up. Numbers have gone up and the targets have gone up. So this week, I think Austin Hooper, he could go out there for fantasy owners in deeper leagues and possibly be a good sleeper option once again, because like I said, the targets are there. It's a good matchup versus the Colts. I give up the 6th most points to tight ends on the season, and he's available in 99% of fantasy leagues. So that's a few tight ends I have as sleepers for week 13 of the fantasy football season.